Yo, what's going on, guys? It's me, Carl, here at Rare Candy, and today I have three guests ready to bring you the 2019 Daytona Beach, Florida Standard Regionals Meta Forecast. I'm joined today by Alec Geissler, Charlie Lockyer, and Adler Pierce. Three players who've been around for a little while, been testing a little bit, and are ready to bring you the knowledge they have on the current standard meta as we head toward Thanksgiving week. Obviously, Daytona Regionals this upcoming weekend for anybody who's got the capability of going to travel out to that regional after the holiday that we have in the middle of the week. These guys are going to give you the knowledge that they have, try to provide you with the most up-to-date current thoughts that they have on the standard metagame. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about some of the Brazil takeaways that we have, some of the top decks that we have. Has anything changed? How is the meta looking? Is there anything that's going to come out of left field? We're going to try to use the next 30 to 45 minutes to really prepare you completely for this upcoming standard event. We have this event, we have San Diego in a couple weeks that are really going to kind of go toward defining the Cosmic Eclipse standard metagame. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to introduce the guest that we have here. First, I have Alec Geissler. Alec has not been playing for a long time. I think his first full season was last year, maybe. Anyway, Alec has a day two at Dallas in last season, and he has a day two at Madison last season. He's also a writer for, what site was it, Alec?
So I'm writing for Flipside Gaming right now. I was doing Potown and PTC Geostore, but I gave up my spot because I got offered by a news site recently, and that article should be dropping Friday. So I'm really excited for the site change.
Awesome. Yeah, I want you to totally plug all that stuff at the end. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, just stick around toward the very end. But yeah, Alec's a writer. He puts out a lot of great content lately. I know he's pumping out articles like crazy this week. And he's sitting at somewhere around 340 CP. He's had a really good year so far. So we have Alec here. We also have Charlie. Charlie's a returning guest of mine who really constantly reaches out to me to volunteer to do some of these Rare Candy videos. And Charlie's a guy that I like to talk to a lot about the game because he has a lot of fresh ideas. The way he approaches the game is really professional. And obviously, from before, you guys know that Charlie has a day two at Worlds. He hasn't been able to play too much this year. I don't even think he's attended an event since Worlds, but I mean, he's somebody that I trust. He tests. He gets out there. Somebody that I'm sure we're going to see plenty of. And lastly, we have Adler Pierce, and Adler's a guy that I am really excited to have on the video tonight because Adler is a really good player who doesn't do these things too often. And I love featuring players who I know well as good people and as great players. And Adler volunteered, and I was like, oh yeah, we're getting him on the video. Adler got a top 8 at Denver Regionals last season, which was a huge accomplishment. I think he used Lycanroc Zapdos, if I remember right. Yes, He did. Cool. He also has 2 day twos this season at Atlantic City with me and at Knoxville. So, guys, I'm really happy. Alec, Charlie, Adler, I'm really glad to have you guys all on board. I'm looking forward to a great discussion. Any crazy random things you have to say about the format or just things that could help educate all of us like me who really have had a hard time playing lately? I'm looking forward to all of it. So I want to start with takeaways from Brazil. So we've had our standard metagame for 9 days as of the time of filming right now, which is hard to believe, right? Because we got the cards on PTCGO a couple weeks ago, and we had the pre-releases about a month ago. But it feels like the format is kind of already getting kind of established. So what I want to hear from you guys is, do you think the format is pretty much established? What are your takeaways from Brazil? Did anything surprise you or influence your thinking going forward here into Daytona Regionals? I'm going to go ahead and start with Alec on this one.
Yeah, so Brazil was really interesting for me considering I had started testing for Daytona before Brazil. So I was like already in that mindset of like thinking about what's good, what wasn't good, etc. And I started with abilities art just because, like, I figured nobody's going to have a good established list for any of the game or any of their decks. And nobody's going to have, like, any idea what they really want to play. And then I kind of swerved from abilities art into, like, Reshiram and Zekrom because I just thought that card was good. Just ended up not working like I wanted it to. The thing that surprised me the most was probably the DDG deck, the Nagalord stuff. And I think it surprised me mainly because I'm surprised I didn't see it, like, all the pieces were on paper there. Like you have the treasure searchable Ultra Beast that you have Beast Bringer, which is able to like two-shot a tag team and just take 4 prizes. And with the GX, obviously, I was just very surprised I didn't see the synergy there, and that I didn't pick up on it like faster enough for anybody else to see it or any of my other group to see it. But you live and learn. I definitely think this format's a lot of fun though, and Brazil was a good showcase of what decks are good and what decks can still be good from past formats.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought that deck was super creative and really cute too. The math does add up. I just don't think, it's why those guys are at the top of the game all the time, right? Like it's people that are able to see that and be a step ahead of things are just. It just sets you so far apart, and all it takes is one event, right? Like you just show up with something a little bit new or offbeat and catch people off guard. They obviously don't really know how to play against it or what to expect. And that opens the door for people to do well with that kind of stuff. And I love to see it. So it was a really neat idea that I think was super creative. Charlie, do you have any takeaways from Brazil or any feelings about the formats being established currently?
Okay, so for watching from the sidelines, and I had not seen anything in the first 2 regionals. I didn't really watch in detail, so I was looking at it from the perspective of just seeing the Worlds format that I had played in, and immediately moving into the Cosmic Eclipse format. And what I saw is I was like, okay, I see the pieces for all these decks, but I saw so many different variants of so many decks. Like the amount of different ways that people played ADP, the Arceus Dialga Palkia variant was so crazy. There was a greens one in top 8. There were End Resolve variants, which I don't think are particularly good. And then there was the sort of slower one in between with Jirachi though. There's just there's probably a lot more along the lines of that too. And then there were multiple variants of Mewtwo succeeded. There were multiple variants of Naganadel Guzzlord. There was Gustavo's deck with the Tina Chomp Omastar thing that the jury's still out on. And then Ability Zard ended up winning it all at the end, which a lot of people didn't really expect. I really feel like and the list for that wasn't very standard either with the Zeep Strike at one point. And at the end of the day, it's okay, I see the pieces for all these different decks. It's going to become a little bit more defined at some point, and there's probably going to be some new wild cards thrown in there too. But it's definitely not defined after that tournament.
Okay. All right, Adler, any additional thoughts on Brazil or the state of the meta right now?
The biggest thing is Mewtwo's never going to die. There's so many different variants from it. It got the tag team engine that people are playing. Raul played just literally the same list from last format and still did super well with it. It doesn't matter that they printed a card that says Mewtwo doesn't have an ability anymore. It's still probably the best deck in the format, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading a bunch of tweets maybe a month ago where people were like, "Oh, Mimikyu, oh, it's over,"
Yeah.
And then I remember I was playing on the ladder, and I was like, I'll just throw Mimikyu in my deck, and we don't got to worry about nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess it's not really like that. So, yeah, I think that Mewtwo is just overwhelmingly incredibly good, and it'll stay there for quite some time. Before we talk about that, though, I want to talk a little bit about Ability Zard. Obviously, Ability Zard, the deck that won Brazil. So, I mean, in the last format, we kind of had the welder problems. It'd be hard to find stuff, this, that, the other thing, inconsistencies. Do you guys think that it takes a fluky run to win a tournament like that? Is it legitimately good? Is there anything that can be done to make it better? I'm kind of lukewarm on the deck because it just feels a little bit too run-hotty for me. We'll start with Charlie with your thoughts on Ability Zard.
Okay, so it's very run-hot. But Robin's an insane player. I don't think it would have won in the hands of many other people. But at the end of the day, you still need to draw really well. He could have had a couple bad breaks, and immediately he's not going to do well. The deck, you have to hit your rollers at the right time. It has a lot of moving pieces that can go wrong, like a power plant sticking, which is sometimes can happen, not always because you play enough stadiums, but it can really screw you over. You can get hand locked. You can take a bad stamp if you didn't get Zeep Strike out. All these things can really happen. Even if you have Jirachi and all the support engines around you, you're really relying so much on welder that you could really just get a bad break and you're going to lose a lot of times. Mm-hmm. But if you hit all your pieces, you're never going to lose. And that's really what happened for Rowan.
Do you think that's a good call for regionals?
I wouldn't play it personally. It's just not a deck that I like. I don't like having to run that hot sometimes. I see it as a great call for someone who doesn't feel like they know how to play anything else, because you still need to play it well to maximize those chances of doing things of like actually hitting those combos that you need. But I personally wouldn't play it.
Okay. Adler, how do you feel about the deck?
I mean, it's like, it makes a lot of sense why the deck won, because basically all Robin did was take a very well-established list and throw in the Mega Loopany, and then it like does the same thing that it did last format. And not a lot of decks, especially decks that aren't like well-established. You definitely saw a lot of subpar ADP variants running around just because people didn't know the best list for it. And like, what does that deck do against Ninetales Reshizard? Like, a lot of decks just can't deal with that. And if you look at a lot of things the deck's bad with, like what Charlie was talking about, you had like Stamp is very much on the decline. Like especially with PikaRom getting out of the format. Like PikaRom was the Stamp deck where you play like the super aggro deck with 3 stamps, and like that deck's like not really anywhere. Mewtwo decks run like 0 to 2. Some ADP lists didn't play any, and then no one's playing Power Plant anymore because of Chaos Swell. So there's like a lot of things that like could go wrong for Reshizard that like people aren't playing anymore.
Yeah, that's really insightful, and like that's some deep thought actually. That makes a lot of sense though. So that's really good. Alec, any additional thoughts on abilities? Right, I know you touched on it in the beginning. That's kind of where you started at. Have your thoughts changed on it at all?
Yeah, I think this is kind of like the world. In my opinion, I think we're going to see something like the world's meta shift where abilities are popped off, did very, very well. We saw like it do really well, even though Mewtwo did win the tournament, whereas abilities are won this one. And then Robin went to Cologne and just top 8'd with abilities art again, but then he added like 4 fire crystals to his deck, 13 fire, lowered his fire energy count, like maximized his 1-prizers. So I think that could see like the same meta shift too. And also like the fact that people don't really think about Ninetales gusting every turn. So I think abilities are just feasted on the decks that didn't really focus on that. Whereas the Mewtwo list, I think the Mewtwo list that was in second place was the only person that like truly thought about it. And that's why he just sat there with his hood. And he actually had a chance to win the game, but he just didn't play to his outs because he could have Megalopin GX'd his Robin's Reshizard and knocked out the Dedenne. And then he could have just made cargo the next turn. But he missed it. I mean,
yeah.
There, but
yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. I didn't see that either, really. But to be fair, I think that the pressure of being in a finals game, I think, kind of adds to that, makes it maybe a little bit more difficult. And also, I think you made a good point about the Ninetales, because I think that a lot of us pretty much expected custom catcher play to go down. And then we're like, oh, cool, okay, well, I have a non-GX sitting here just chilling, or even a big GX, right? Like if I could hit a stamp or something like that, maybe I could avoid, this great catcher or whatever. And oh yeah, there's Ninetales still that still does really disruptive stuff. So I thought it was really cool that the deck won. I really didn't want to see Mewtwo win again because it's been winning everything. It's kind of boring. So like I guess abilities are to me was a good consolation prize, but still kind of boring. I would have loved to see like ADP win or even the Guzzlord deck win, or even Baby Blacephalon, which seemed like it was doing really well. I think at one point there was a 6-0 or 7-0 Baby Blacephalon on stream.
Was that Manuel?
I don't remember who it was. I don't know. I was playing Pokemon Sword at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have Baby Blacephalon, which this weekend at Cups, at time of filming, has blown up. It's like in half of every top 8 that got posted on Cup standings this weekend. Is it the best? I want to talk about this with Malamar. So I'm going to assume that these two are the top 1-prize decks, single prize attacker decks. Adler, I want to start with you. Can I have your thoughts on Baby Blounce and Malamar and which one is better?
Yeah, I'm glad you started with me on this because I told a lot of people to play Baby Blounce at LAIC and no one believed me.
No.
And so I'm like really happy that like the deck did well, especially with like the dolls. The dolls are really cool. But I think the deck is very like it's like a good deck. It's a little high rolly. You got to find like your Elms early, and then you got to find like your Welders. But I do think Malamar is actually the better 1-prize deck going forward.
Ooh,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Alec, I think the matchup spread's just better.
Okay. Alec, why don't you go ahead?
So I like the feel of Baby Blounce, and I like the way it like builds up your hand, and you can just chill with like 6 fire energy in your hand and never get punished because you can just say Fireball Circus and discard them and just knock out a huge tag team. But since the deck loses to Mewtwo, I will not touch the deck. I still think Mewtwo is the best deck in format, like Adler said, and I am 90% playing Mewtwo for Daytona. I think Malamar is very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I love Malamar, and I've done very well at it. I mean, granted, they're cups, but I've done well at it with cups. And I think the deck is still very good, but I don't think I would want to take a bad matchup to ADP going into this tournament because ADP and Mewtwo are the top 2 decks, in my opinion, that I want to beat this weekend.
Okay, great. Charlie, how do you feel on Mally and Baby Blounds?
Okay, I will hold my ground until it wins a major tournament or does well at one beyond Mr. Catron's finishes. But Elmar sucks, and will continue to suck.
I was in that boat too until I drank the sauce, and then I was fine.
There are now even more techs that people can play to mess with the deck. If you play Bryson in your deck, you can really mess with it just for the parallel effect. You just discard 2. And their bench is going to get hurt more. They're left with 2 Pokemon afterwards. I mean, yeah, they're going to have trouble retreating if they leave 3 Malamar on their bench or try to do anything. And you're also doing 130 a turn. Like, this is a format with Mallow and Lana as one of the best supporters now. You just heal off Giratina damage, take a knockout. ADP just does, okay, I'll play Mallow Lana, heal off all the damage you did, retreat, knock you out for 2 prizes because they use all the creation. You're not a 1-prize deck anymore when that kind of stuff happens. You're just actually takes 1-shots. That's why I think the deck is good. Is because you can trade favorably with everything, including an ADP that used altered creation. Like, that's why it's so strong. It's just the ability to take 1-shots. I think Malamar sucks because it literally can't do that.
Okay, kind of the
maybe
kind of how I feel.
One time, but then that gets killed back.
Yeah, I just think that Mallow and Lana kind of ruins a lot for the deck too. I thought. Go ahead.
Can I go with like why I think Malamar is actually really good?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I think Malamar is really good because you take a good Mewtwo matchup because they play. I guarantee a lot of Mewtwo decks are going to play Mallow and Lana and think that that's like fine for healing. But Mallow and Lana doesn't actually heal all the damage off if you Shadow Impact it. It still has 10 left. And so the Mimikyu will like still stick there. And also if you just go second and you just get the Mimikyu and the Mew, that can cause like a lot of chaos on their turn because that means they're not playing Welder. So I think Mewtwo's like pretty favorable.
Mewtwo's an auto win for Malamar.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And then I think Abilities Art is also very favorable. I just like played the matchup a lot at like Knoxville, and it just seems really good for Malamar as long as like you know what you're doing and you put your spell tags down right. I think that okay. So my spicy attack for Malamar is you play a Stinger in it. It's the same mindset for why there's a Stinger in the Blounds deck, where if you can like Stinger and then Baby Blounds, and so that auto wins Doll Stall, and it's also pretty good against Pidgey. So like both those decks, like both those matchups should be like pretty fine, I think, with the Stinger, because you can just sit there with Mew and ping the Pidgeys until there's like 50 on 3 of them, and then Stinger and just double Distortion Door.
Wow.
Do you have any plan to fix ADP?
No, I have no plan to fix ADP. But like, here's the thing: like, I just don't think. I think this might be jumping ahead. I think ADP is like the worst deck of all time.
Bad too.
And then you take favorable matchups against Big Blounce because you're a single prize attacker, and you take a favorable matchup against Baby Blounce, and that's like the matchups right there. Like,
Interesting.
So you take like a bad ADP matchup, but like everything else is like very good. Oh, and you take a bad Miss Magius whatever matchup, but like that is okay. That's not gonna get that much, I don't think.
Then that's the kind of juxtaposing viewpoints that they come to Rare Candy for, man. So I love it. I love it. You guys take from that what you will, and we'll move on to Mewtwo. So is Mewtwo the best deck in the format? We'll go ahead and start with Alec.
Yes.
Why?
You have so many options to so many matchups. It is ridiculous. I have won so many games because I go, Welder attach, cool. You draw pass, cool. Draw 300 to your Charizard. Oh, you don't have stamp? Draw Welder, my cargo. See ya. Have a good one. Like, it's just the fact that you can hit Welder, abuse as many different attackers as you can besides Charizard, and the fact that you're not like a like I guess you're a welder based deck, but the way that I like playing the second list way better. I like Mewtwo's like slow setup and making sure that I actually hit welders instead of risking welder and then like draw passing for the whole turn or for the whole game. I think setting up your board and establishing a checkmate scenario is a lot better than risking hitting welder. So if I'm going to play Mewtwo, I'm playing the second place list for sure, which is like 90% what I'm playing this weekend. I just got to figure out if I want a second Marshadow resetting hole because Chaotic Swell, it hurts that deck so much. It's actually insane. Like, I didn't think it was that bad, and then I played it. I'm like, oh my god.
Okay. Charlie, what about you? Mewtwo the best deck in the format?
Possibly. I don't actually know yet. I'm really interested to see it continue to play because I feel like it's fragile. Like, there are cards to counter it. Like, I think there's something that could use Mimikyu really well. I mean, just attacking into a Mewtwo and being like, okay, that I have Mimikyu in play and it has however much damage on it isn't going to do it. It's not going to, but like, I feel like there are ways, like I've talked about Mew plus Mimikyu a couple times before, just put the 10s out there and force them to like play a healing card or push around it to actually attack. I feel like their Power Plant plus Stamp is still hurting them a lot. It has like inherent weaknesses. I still think like Pidgey's personally the best deck. Not a deck that I'd play and not like a good place in the meta, but it's format defining in a way, and that's usually how I define the best deck. Is something like everyone, it's their first it's one of their top considerations for like, can I handle this? I don't think Mewtwo's up there. I think abilities aren't supposed to go to that stature right now because I hear a lot of people not even considering Mewtwo in their matchup. Whatever they're doing when they're looking over like what decks they're ready to face.
Interesting. Okay. Adler, is Mewtwo, Mew 3 the best deck in the format?
I think so. I think that like you have the potential to just like high roll people out of the game. Like if you hit like the mythical double welder psychic energy and you just like board wipe something. And then also just like if you go first and you just like Mewtwo fire energy pass, that's still so scary for so many decks. Because you know at any point during the next turn they can just welder, attach, and 300 whatever your attacker is. Yeah. And so like they don't even need to like high roll that much anymore. It's just like so a very consistent thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so threatening. That happens to me and I feel it's weird how like before this like standard rotation, but that would be like a weak play, and now I'm just like, oh dang, he hit the energy, you know, like he plays 9 of them. Oh no, he hit it. So it's kind of crazy how just a simple attachment and a pass could be so threatening, and that just speaks to the power level of Mewtwo. It's just wild.
Can I add one thing about the Malamar matchup?
Sure.
So I think even though the Mimikyu is very, very strong in the matchup, I've been trying this out. I got to test more against Malamar because that's like the one matchup I really want to like grind. I'm trying out cutting out a weakness guard energy and then adding the Jirachi GX back into the deck. And then since you play the Hood anyway, like you could just sit there with a huge Espeon Deoxys, like your 3 energy Espeon Deoxys, and you could sit there with like your reset hole or 2 reset, like depending on the list, of course. You could sit there with like your Jirachi reset hole, 2 reset hole potentially, and a Mew Mew, and you're sitting there swinging for 130 over and over, and then they have to sit there and they're like, okay, 130. I'm like, okay, Mallow and Lana switch, and then you can't deal with the Espeon Deoxys because you're not hitting for weakness, and I'm still pegging you for 130 while I have the threat of cross division on my board. That's just really, really hard to like deal with as Malamar. But I got to keep grinding the matchup more and seeing how it goes. But I think Jirachi Hood is definitely like a good combo to overcome the Mimikyu.
You've been playing Mewtwo for a long time.
Yeah. I've been grinding a lot of games with it. I probably have like 200 plus games in this.
You seem to have a very good idea of the where the deck sits and how to play it. So that I'm sure you're gonna do great this weekend. That's just my observation from following you over the season. So that's good. In one word, guys, this is a one-word answer. Is PikaRom dead? I'll start with Charlie.
No.
Adler.
Maybe.
Jesus. Alec.
Yeah, I want to say maybe.
That's not what I was looking for. All right, I guess we can talk more about PikaRom then. Charlie, why is it an emphatic no?
Because I think the deck is inherently strong and inherently the most consistent thing to exist right now. I mean, just I remember because I had never played the deck before until I played it at Worlds, and I was just baffled by how I felt like pretty much every game, unless I like prized ever Dedenne, which did happen a couple times, but every PikaRom, I was like, okay, I have a chance to win because I'm going to set up. Like, I think that is like something nothing else in this format really has. And I was thinking before about if we could bring back Pika Judge for this event and see what would happen with it, but we decided against it at the end of the day. Like, we were going to play with power plants and such to try to combat some of the new faces in the format. But like at the end of the day, it's like maybe not the best call for now, but I guarantee PikaRom is not dead and will continue to be powerful at some point in its life.
Cool. Adler, what about you?
So I have like a place in my heart for PikaRom. I love that deck. I didn't play it at Worlds, but I played it at basically every tournament until Atlantic City, and then I switched to Malamar after. I think the deck, it needs like so many things to help it, because you need like the heavy plants and the heavy stamps to deal with Mewtwo. And we're just going to ignore the fact that Mewtwo just got another switching card in their deck, because that's how you were able to beat them a lot before, is with like the Raichu.
Yeah.
Paralyte and getting them stuck and taking like a free 3 prizes there. And so you need that. And now you need like extra Marshadows, so you can like reset hold the Chaos Swell, so you can then play your Power Plants to deal with Keldeo. And like it seems like every format, PikaRom just like needs to play more techs to even like be like a possibility. And then you have to deal with the fact that like any deck could be playing Mega Lopunny and just like one-shot you if you're not ready for it. It's just like a lot of things you got to play around. I don't think it's dead, but I think it's in a not great spot until someone comes up with a really good list for it.
Yeah, that's kind of in line with how I was thinking. Alec, what about you?
Okay, so I love Pika. I went to the very first thing I decided after I played Abilities Hard for LAIC people testing, because I didn't go, but I was testing for people, was Pika Judge, because Pika Judge just
it makes
bodies
sense, yeah.
a non-existent format or established format. And then before even that, I created a meme that was Green's Pika, and I didn't think anybody was going to take me seriously. And then it showed up, and then I lost Twinning in Knoxville. And then Tag Call got printed, and then Mallow and Lana got printed, and I'm just like, okay, maybe this deck could be fine, because you can sit there in greens for like Tag Call and Mallow and Lana or something, and like, I don't know. I was thinking about it. It seems very, very bad, but yet it's still like, I see it on Hefonte, and I'm just like, how do you people come up with this stuff? I just made a phony list and didn't mean to share anything. But no, I think Pika's okay. It depends on... If Mewtwo runs 2 Mallow and Lana, 2 Switch, maybe 3 Switch, you can't beat it.
That sounds tough.
That's really hard.
That sounds tough.
And I also don't know how you beat Abilities Hard if you don't play a Hood. So
Abilities Hard was favorable for Pika last format.
Did you play 4 Switch?
In like Reshi's Arts?
Yeah, in like Reshi.
I mean, like I was playing Pika, so I didn't know it was in their list, but I just like bodied a whole bunch of them at like League Cups and.
I guess. I don't know. It just seemed really hard because, like, every turn, like, if I would find the Weather, like, because if you were going to full blitz onto the Raichu, of course, I would just get Gus 300 it. But at the same time, it's like, granted, this is ability rushy. I was thinking about the Mewtwo thing, too, whereas the Mewtwo night test, I kind of want to go over that a little bit later if we can. But I think last format, like, if you got Gust on your Raichu 300, like, you could just take the game and steal the game from there. But I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so not what I was expecting to hear about PikaRom, but I'm glad we kind of had a little bit of a dialogue there, because I know that PikaRom probably has a ton of fans like Adler and Alec out there who probably are trying to keep the deck alive, and a couple ideas in there with the Marshadows and Power Plants and that kind of thing. So who knows? Maybe, right? Moving on to ADP, I know that ADP might have... a couple fans in here, or maybe not. Seems like a very polarizing deck to me. We'll go ahead and we'll start with Charlie on your thoughts on ADP. Is it good? Do you use N? Do you not use N? That kind of stuff.
Okay, so ADP is inherently a very strong card. I have no clue if anybody is even in the correct ballpark for how to build it right now. I am certain that I will not be playing it this weekend, mostly because I haven't had the time to put a ton of hours into this card. I think it's going to be cooler and expanded and such, but the current iterations of the deck seem a little bit underwhelming. I think that it has more potential. Like what me and my testing group have been saying for a while before Brazil, it's like, oh, we're not going to play ADP, but like if somebody breaks it, they're going to win the tournament. It's an inherently powerful card, but I don't have the answer for it yet. And if I have the answer, then I'd love to play it. It's a super cool card. It has some of the best art I've ever seen. So I want to play pretty cards. And I mean, but not now. It's not ready yet.
All right. Keep those pretty cards in the binder. We'll go to Alec.
I will not touch ADP.
Why not?
I hate Ends Resolve. It is the worst card ever printed. Just right off the cards and not having guaranteed a second effect is just so freaking bad. It's just, oh my lord. When I mill 6 cards from my deck and I'm facing against a Ringer or a Pidgey, I'm just like, okay, cool. Yep.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. So you don't believe there's any merit to playing ADP without Ends, like a slower version?
I think if you're going to play any list, play Pedro's list. It's the best list that I've seen.
Does it accelerate any way at all, or no?
I think it has 1 ends, or 2 ends, but I would definitely go back to 1. And the tag team, I just love the tag team supporters. It's such a great concept that they brought to the game, and it helps your consistency, and it's not like an overpowered consistency booster, which I love.
Is there something I'm missing? Like, are you just charging it up like manually with attachments from your hand?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem very good.
The one guy that got 4th, I think his list was terrible. I seriously do. He had to wait till turn 3 to attack, and Reshizar could end the game in 2 turns before you even get
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I see these lists that have no way to directly accelerate, or they use a card that I deem not good, like Victini, and I'm like, how...
Victini was one of the better ways that I liked it. I love slower setup decks, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, because you have Turbo Strike, dude.
Yeah, I love guaranteed. I just don't want to whiff, and then I feel like I'm playing the lottery.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way I can pull myself to play that.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I was trying ADP with Ends, and I was like, oh, cool, okay. I'm getting attacks quickly. Still didn't feel great, though. I felt like I was running so many duplicates of things. It just didn't feel like the most... I didn't feel like I could do too much. It was like, okay, we're just doing the same thing every game. And if they have this, then I just lose. That's how I felt with every ADP game that I ever played. Adler, any additional thoughts on ADP?
ADP is awful. I don't know how people played this deck. You're basically sitting there and you're hoping that like a Mewtwo deck just doesn't turn to 300 you, because if they do, you instantly lose. You're hoping that like a Reshizard doesn't like kill your guy with an energy on it, or you instantly lose. Like you're just sitting there and you're just hoping that like any one of these like top tier decks are just not going to do what they're supposed to do. And so like, in order to combat that, you have to play End Resolve. And I remember on stream, I was watching someone play End Resolve, and he played it, and he whiffed, milled 6, and then next turn he played another End Resolve and milled another 6, and no energy. And it's like, so your options are just taking like fat L's to the best decks in a format and playing it slow, or playing a horrible supporter.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I'm not a really big fan of the deck either, honestly. It was cool. It's cool at first to try some of these new GXs and stuff, like Reshiram and stuff, and then you actually get them in your hands and you're like, oh, okay. So, all right.
I'm wondering.
Real quick, like Charlie said, if you find the way to break the deck or like make sure that it's like actually good, go ahead and play it. Seriously, it is. The card's potential is so strong, and also the tools that the deck has is just ridiculous. Like Drampa, Cryogonal, Keldeo, Swell. It has all the tools. It's just you can't build it right, and nobody knows how to build it right, and it kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it had a way to fit or had a way to work.
Well, maybe we'll find that this week. I don't know. Hopefully. I kind of want to go into the 2 things that I was afraid of when I was a child: birds and dolls. Right? Coincidentally, the 2 things I'm most afraid of right now. So, Adler, I want to start with you. Because a couple weeks ago there was some hype about Pidgeotto being the best deck in the game. And then now this week we saw a couple doll stall things happening. We saw one make top 8 last week, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So these decks are they definitely have to be respected. And Charlie spoke earlier about having to format-defining decks, and I happen to think that these could be format-defining decks, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to start with you, Adler. Is Pidgeotto tier 1? Are dolls tier 1? Are these decks, how do you prepare for them? I just want to hear all your thoughts on these things.
both decks are definitely tier 1. The Dollstall, like, 100% would have won the tournament if he had dodged the Blounds player at any point. His deck just, like, pretty much autoed every other top 8 deck. And it's, like, really strong. And, like, the best thing is, like, the cards that counter one don't counter the other. Because, like, Dollstall doesn't necessarily care about affecting your hand, which are, like, usually your techs for like, Pidgeotto stall decks are, like, you play, like, a Zebra, so they can't ever lock you out of the game. But, like, Dollstall locks you out, like, with, like, the board, and so you need to play, like, sniping cards or, like, Fabas and, like, Mew and stuff. And that's just, like, not feasible for a lot of decks. But as always, they're not going to be played in high numbers. But if you want to win the tournament, you can't take an L to them, which is annoying.
How do you avoid taking an L to both?
To both, the answer to both is Stinger Baby Blown for a lot of decks. For the decks that can use it, I think Stinger's the best anti-stall card. Or you play Mewtwo and you high roll with, like, double Welder and you just, like, win the game there. Those are your options. And Mewtwo can beat most of the stall decks. I wouldn't say it's, like, most of the time, but at least, like, has a shot if you just, like, high roll.
Just by virtue
and
of...
a lot of decks have no chance, so Mewtwo beats them on that. So
Okay, Charlie, any thoughts on these two decks?
I think they're awesome.
I figured.
think the biggest thing about Pidgey right now is the fact that it loses to a bunch of these little, like, I can do, like, one thing really fast and just overwhelm you decks. Like, Guzzlord is one of those.
Yeah.
Stavo deck was another one of those. And Baby Blounds is also kind of tough in a way. I mean, it's still winnable if you pull off, like, the control lock, but they have Pidgey, so, I mean, you're not going to be able to beat that consistently. And then Dolls in comparison I'm considering in the exact same vein as Shock Lock and Expanded. It beats so many things and then loses hard to so many things. If you're going to counter it, you can counter. You can play the Blacephalon Stinger combo. I mean, yes, it works, but that's basically like teching multiple switches or a Garbline or something like that to beat Shock Lock. I don't think it's going to see that much play.
No, not at all.
If you want to beat it, I think you'll probably need to go through at least one to win the tournament. I don't think you're going to need. I almost guarantee you that you're not going to see, like, 6 of them. And also, even though it's a cheap deck to buy, which I think will, in comparison to Shock Lock, which is super expensive, I think it will be very little play because you actually need to know what you're doing to play it.
Yeah, I think people tend to stay away from those because they're exhausting to play. They don't think that they're fun to play. And you have to really know what you're doing in every single matchup. And I don't think you could take a single misstep at any point against anything you play, unless your opponent's dead drawing, but you can't really rely on that. Alec, any thoughts on these two decks?
Yeah, Pidgey, I didn't think was that good. Or I tested Pidgey first, then I just kept losing to Gus Pidgeotto. I'm just like, no, I'm tired of this. Dolls is very good. I still am considering it, even though I love Mewtwo with all of my heart. I don't know how the top 8 deck looks or, like, how that doll, like, works because I didn't try it. If I'm going to play any doll variant, I'm playing Sanders' deck for sure. It has way more outs to bad matchups. If they put down a Dedenne, you can almost win the game. Against any deck. If any deck plays a Dedenne, you can pretty much win the game if they put it down. Otherwise, yeah, I know. I think Sanders' deck is definitely the more optimal play, but it's definitely the higher skill floor deck, and you have to know exactly what you're doing, what you're Stevensing for, what you're building for, because it's like Pidgey. If you grab one thing wrong, like 4 turns ahead of the turn that you need it, you're just going to lose and you're going to fold.
Okay. Yeah, I hate both those decks. Those are decks that a lot of people, I think, in the game, they're so polarizing because either you love playing those decks or you just don't like them at all and you hate playing against them. I think decks like that keep the game healthy, though. Never for me. Not for me. I want to be doing stuff, like, not hard stuff, like moderate, intermediate stuff.
Right.
So we kind of covered most of the top decks. Are there any rogue decks that you guys think could pop up, or cards that could potentially be popular or maybe, like, utilized that we haven't seen yet? We are only about a week and a half into this new standard format, and there might be a lot to be discovered. Is there any card that you think should be explored a little bit more? We'll start with Alec.
Cards, not particularly, I don't think. Maybe the Alolan Persian GX. That card's actually very, very good, but nobody's looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because the ability's very good. I don't know. I saw it top a cup. I don't know if it won or not, but I mean the fact that it topped is super cool. Dex.
I love that card.
Think the card's very good.
I love it.
I think it needs to be explored in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Dex. I definitely think the Mewtwo, Reshizard, Fire, the Reshizard, Ability Zard, that's Mewtwo, is definitely the deck that needs to be looked at for sure. The fact that you have 4 energy 300 and then 6 energy 300 options is ridiculous, whereas Ability Zard only has 6 energy. And the fact that you can rely on a tag call engine. It's like Mewtwo, but you're based on fire attackers, and you have the Jirachi engine and 3 Dedenne and everything, which is abilities are in Mewtwo in one deck, which is amazing in my eyes.
It sounds pretty good. I can't lie. I've been out of it for a little while, so I haven't had time to play with any of these things. But yeah, Mewtwo just could do so much with anything, and that deck sounds actually pretty tight. So that's kind of cool. Charlie, any rogue contenders or any cards that should be explored or optimized a little bit in your eyes?
I'll tell you what I'm probably be playing. Check out that Charizard Breakson. That card's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know why nobody's playing this card.
That's what you're going with.
Probably. I mean, I just haven't played, and I think this card's fun, and I'm okay, I can control my game plan. I don't need to high roll. It's either this or Baby Blounds. Probably what I'm going to go with, because I feel like I know what I'm doing if I can search my deck for cards. And I mean, I have a list for the deck that seems to work. I mean, I was testing it last night with Will on his stream. It's okay, we can beat pretty much anything. Except we played against some Empoleon deck. We couldn't beat that.
Yeah.
Hey, Empoleon.
Bubble hold, son. See ya.
Literally, you just get 4 energies, which is the amount that Reshizard needs. So it's proven that you can put energies onto it.
What are you searching for?
What?
What are you searching for?
Healing cards. You're just a better green Zard, because every turn you're I can just search for 3 more cards. I don't need to play freaking greens every turn. I can search for Malawano. Just heal it up. I can switch back into the thing. I have Island Challenge Amulet. It's really just Green Zard plus Guardian in a similar vein of do what Guardian does better.
Now we're talking my language. Now this is what I came for.
It's literally for 4 energy, which we know we can put down. It says do 180 damage, then use Sylveon's attack too, which was already proven. What the heck is that? That's broken. And nobody plays it? I mean, one dude top 32'd, I think, with it.
Mm-hmm.
In LAIC. I didn't like his list particularly. Focused too much on the attacking part. I only run 4 Breakzard. I don't run Volcanion or anything. But yeah, the deck's insane. I mean, you can use so many different tools to mess with your opponent. And you always have the combo because you always draw it off the 3 cards.
I hope you play that.
Control stuff?
I play a very small amount. I play 1 JJ, 1 Weezing.
Yeah, that's what I was on too. Okay.
I don't play the 2 JJ. I saw Azul's video. He runs 2. I'm not a fan of his list, but...
Do you like the Chip?
No, I don't play Chip. That card sucks.
Okay.
Take out of it. Have fun. Cool.
I hope you play this, because that sounds like it will be a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, Will called it bad, and I have a 100% day 2 rate when Will calls my decks bad.
That's a good percentage. It's a real good percentage. Adler, how about you? Any decks that you think...
So I'm surprised. Big Blounds. If I was going this weekend, I would my 2 decks would be Big Blounds and Malamar. Because Big Blounds does very well against tag teams. You can welder every turn and blow things up. You can play the Stinger combo to do fine against Stall. ADP might be kind of sketchy because I don't think you have a great way of killing Keldeo. Unless, yeah. But other than that, I just think Blounds should be looked at more.
You could use Carton Void to get through Keldeo, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess you could play that if you wanted to play. Yeah, because you can just Blounds. But I think you actually have a chance of just killing the ADP super fast. Yeah, or you can do something where you kill the ADP, and then you burst, and then you can Guzma like a Dedenne, or not Guzma, but Great Catcher Dedenne.
No, not that. Not again.
Kill a Dedenne, and that's like your 6 prizes. So it's definitely unfavorable, but it's not unwinnable. And that should definitely be looked at more. And then also I think we haven't talked about it, but I mean there was like a 12th place Guardy or something. I don't think it's good, but people might play it.
I don't think it's terrible.
I wrote an article on Guardian and how I thought it sacked its way into top 16. And then I played it, and I was like, eh. And I don't know. The Cynthia Caitlin Malalana tag call, the tools that I got was very good, but it just didn't feel like it beat anything. I felt like ability card just ran me over again. And I just don't want to
Guardian just play break Zard. It's just better. Sorry, it's just better.
I can see that. I think a Green's deck has potential.
Interesting.
Oh,
because no one is playing around Plant Stamp anymore.
Also, another cool rogue that I was thinking about is Poipole again. I think the Lunatone Soul Rock combo is very good to beat Zard.
Jeez,
you're just like a worse. I don't know. You're a better Dolls, but at the same time you're a worse Dolls.
You're so much worse because you lose to ADP.
Do you? Oh yeah, because it's
prize.
Nope, shit ninja. Later. See ya.
So you're gonna put your ninja and use the thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we gave them a lot. We gave them a whole bunch. I feel like Blacephalon.
Lockyer.
No, I'm wrong. Poipole still beats ADP because it says can't take any.
Yeah, it says they don't take any prizes. Yeah.
And Clear Vision. Stuff. Yeah.
All right, we'll give that one an honorable mention. I feel like Blacephalon GX never ever gets respect, and it's always a solid call for any tournament, no matter what. It will always be good, and I feel like people are just like they don't think it's like a sophisticated enough play, when in reality all you have to do is take 2 knockouts in some games.
It also lost, or PikaRom was its worst matchup last format, by a long shot, and that's not really being played anymore.
You're really selling it, Adler, I gotta say.
Yeah,
I'd probably lean heavily toward that as well, just because I'm gonna be full of food, and I just don't really want to think too much. And then like you said, the thing about the whole discussion here is I think that these stall decks are just a preeminent threat that are going to just ruin people's day, because they're going to be played in slightly higher numbers than I think what we've seen, and a lot of people are going to go in thinking that's not going to happen to me. They're going to play 2 of them and then lose a matchup that maybe they should not have won, or should have won, or whatever, and then your tournament's done, right? So anyone who follows my videos knows that I always like to try to include some kind of how to get better discussion from the top players that I feature on my videos. So, guys, if you're unfamiliar, I like to just a tip to help somebody who's trying to get their invite or get better or just get more from their playtime or just improve overall. It could be a basic tip, could be something that you learned 3, 4, 5 years into the game. What has helped you take the next step or just improve even slightly? So if I'll start with Adler.
Yeah. So I took a really long break. I stopped playing at around 2015, so I didn't play 2015, 2016, and pretty much all of 2017. And when I came back, I was having this problem where I would have 6-3 records, or 5-2, or 5-3-1, where I would be I would get points, but I would be 1 win away from day 2ing. And so a really big improvement on my end was getting that 1 win more. And so I think that if you're trying to improve, it's hard to just focus on getting the 1 win more, whether that's going from 4 wins at a regionals to 5 wins at a regionals, or going from 5 wins to 6 wins at a regionals, or going from 9 wins to 10 wins at a regionals to top 8. It's just focusing on the 1 win more. And when you think back after a tournament, there's going to be games where you're going to think back and you're going to be if I had played that a different way, I could have won, and focus on improving in that way, because sometimes you'll have tournaments where you'll have losses that are just completely out of your control. Let's say you hit the one of 3 shock locks in the room in an expanded regionals, right? And you just lose to it. There's nothing you can do to improve as a player then. and so focus on like getting the one win more that you like can play, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like take a measured approach to like be
Yeah.
realistic, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone has to go through that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the point of that is just to be realistic about your goals and like
Yeah.
getting better. And by this time next year, you could tack on 2, 3, 4 wins at a regionals. And
Yeah. Exactly.
if you take that measured approach, so that's really helpful. Thanks, man. Alec, how about you? You've made a lot of progress in a short time, so I feel like you might have something good for me.
Make as many friends as you can, please. Just be friendly, because I don't know where I would be without any of my friends. Holy. NAIC,
so
I lost my winning in, but I would not have done as nearly as well as I did at NAIC if I didn't have any of my friends, because I had no idea what I wanted to play. I didn't have a deck really in mind. And then all of a sudden my friends come over and just throw their 60 on the table and say, here, play this. I'm like, okay, cool. And they explained all my matchups, what I had to do in the scenario I was in, like talk me out of the bad scenarios. Also, playing PTCGO, I know the like software or like the coding is terrible, but it is the best tool I have ever used. It's because it plays to your worst hand possible. And I'm like, if you can get your deck out of that bad scenario and you can play out of those crap hands, then your deck and then you see your deck functions. And you're like, wow, this is actually what my deck does. I never knew that. Okay, cool. Here we go. Oh, I can do this. That's insane. So if you can make sure if you can make friends and play Pokemon as often as you can, well, obviously with time constraints and everything, but like if you can play as much as you can and practice, and good practice too, not like sitting in a room with music blaring, talking to your friends while you're playing. Like if you sit down, focus, read your cards, do everything to like, it's almost like schoolwork and studying, and I'm really bad at studying. It's actually funny. Like I suck at school, but I am like really like I put my mind to this game like more than school. It's really bad, but like if you can do that, then you're gonna strive for success.
It's what you like, man. It's what you like, you know. I put a lot of my free time into like what my eventual career is gonna be at the expense of Pokemon, and it's why I'm really, really good at my job, and why I'm just like okay at Pokemon. So I get it, you know. It's like the same principle, just in reverse. So, Charlie, we'll let you take us home here, man. I know I got a really good tip from you last time, but I'm hoping for one more.
All right, so I actually have two more. One's inside.
Here we go.
One's inside of the tournaments and one's outside of the tournaments.
All right.
The first one's actually a complete and total. I thought Alec was going to take mine, but it's a complete and total disagreement from what he had to say. So I think PTCGO is the worst tool to start with when you're playing.
It's definitely the worst to start with. Yeah.
Yeah, to start with. I build I sometimes am known for like coming up with crazy crap that my friends call bad and then somehow day-2ing with it. What I do is I'm sitting in this room here with all my cards in these like messy piles. I'm just scrolling through the cards, start throwing them together on the table. It's a lot easier to see them like when if they're unorganized, sometimes I'm reintroduced to like ideas I'm not looking specifically for a card. It's like, oh, that card's sitting in that pile, so why don't I try that in here? A lot of that stuff helps me build decks, and then I play a lot more solitaire than I play actual games. I literally just sit sometimes down alone, and I'm not even like trying to test with my friends. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to sit down, play solitaire, learn how to play my deck, assuming my opponent's doing this and not worrying about that, and I can get in a lot more games in that time. And then afterwards, maybe you can move to PTCGO if you're ready to play real games. I also don't suggest ladder, because those opponents are not worth putting your testing time against. Find somebody really good to test against after you've already done your solitaire, you've done your homework, you've built a list that you know can set up before you've actually even start getting into games. And then number 2 is in tournaments. If you're 2-2, 1-1-2, 2-1-1, or that's not a terrible record. If you're like 2-2-1 and you got to go 6-2-1, don't stress about it. Just do it, dude. Like that's always been my best answer. It's like, okay, I'm not out yet, so I'm in then. Just even when you're scared and you have to say, oh, I've got to win 5 in a row. You can't stress about it. You can't be sitting in your match thinking, oh, I've got 4 more after this. You got to be thinking about the one game you're playing and just perform in the moment. You have to be strong in the moment if you want to.
Right. So I think you're cutting out a little bit there for me, Charlie.
All right. What did you get?
Oh no, you're actually good. You're just kind of
Oh.
a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna edit this part. Just kind of a little bit fuzzy on the mic. Is something rubbing your mic?
No, that was someone else.
Oh, okay.
My mic was fine.
Anyway,
just
no,
unless you
you're
can't
good. You did good. That was a great answer. So I have a response to that I'm just gonna take a brief pause and then I'm gonna address it and then we're gonna close it out.
Real quick, Carl. I got one more thing. So after you do your thing,
Okay.
I got one more after you're done.
Okay, Charlie, I like that a lot because like what you described is kind of like the artistic process where you throw all the cards in front of you and you know that there's an idea that you could take from all of them, but like you don't have it yet, right? So you're reintroducing yourself to these cards and you're kind of just putting them all here because you know that there's some synergy there, but you haven't found it yet. I think that's really neat how you kind of described that situation. And as far as what you said about 221, 112, those kind of bad records, the way that I view it is if I'm 221, it's like, okay, I have to win one game of Pokemon 4 times, right? Like that seems a little bit better than, oh, I have to win 4 in a row. It's like, no, you got to win one game just 4 times. I think mindset's everything in this game, especially. And a lot of people, I think, don't have the mindset necessary to like do those kind of things, which is why like you'll see a top player do it or something like that, and they'll go from 1-1-2 to 6-1-2 or something crazy. So I think that's super valuable advice. Alec, you had something for me?
Yeah. So also on the topic of mindset is health. As much as we don't like to focus on it, it's definitely a huge factor. At NAIC, I was I don't remember my record. I think I was like 3-1-2 or I was like 3-0-2, and I was almost like falling asleep during my match. And it was a bad matchup anyway, but you have to make sure you're in the good mindset because like if you're falling asleep in the middle of your match, you're not going to close out the day well. And
No.
It was to the point where I knew it was a bad matchup anyway, so I scooped up my round and I went and got food, and then I closed out the day and won 3 straight in a row, and then I lost my winning in. But as long as you have the mental or like the health aspect like in a positive factor, you're gonna, as long as you're keeping yourself healthy, you're gonna do so well too compared to like some people who just don't care or don't take care of themselves as much as you do.
Yeah, you prepare like you care about it, right? If you want to do well, prepare like you care. Prepare kind of like not necessarily a professional, but what do you think somebody who is the person who's going to win this tournament, how do you think they prepared? And then do that, right? Or, that's just the way I think about it is, did I leave myself is there anything I did in the lead up to this tournament that I could question as a result of why I didn't do well? If I didn't test enough, if I didn't eat well, if I didn't sleep, if I didn't take care of myself, I can't just blame dead draws, right? I can't. It's the proof is right there. If you do what you always do, you'll get what you always get.
One more thing to
add something real quick about.
Wait.
Health.
All right. Wait. Wait, Adler, you had something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I forgot that I started doing this. But Alec inspired the idea. Was I have this thing where at tournaments I get really cold. And it like affects my play where all I can think about is how cold I am. And so what I did is I literally bought hand warmers, and now I'm not cold at tournaments, and it's like a psychological thing I think. But like if you have some sort of like tick that like is bothering you, there's like things you can do to fix it. I don't know. I just thought that was like a fun thing to add.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's funny too because you've day 2'd both regionals you've gone to this year.
Yeah.
And now we know it's because your body temperature has skyrocketed. Very good.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
really
it.
running hot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Who
Okay,
else
add
had-
something real quick.
Yeah.
So I was just on Alec's mindset thing. I remember a lot of times when I went to tournaments with my dad, he would always be like, and I was like staying up late with my friends past like even like 10:30 or 11. He's like, you're saying that you're like trying to play this like a professional. Why don't you act like one and go to bed early all the time? And like I had noticed very quickly and every day that like I need to go to bed at a good time, get more sleep than like going to bed at 1. That sometimes that harms me the next day. I've seen it harm my friends. I've seen it harm my opponents. But like if it doesn't harm you, you're going to pick up wins along the way because people aren't as prepared as you. Like treat yourself and your health in the same like as well as you want to do. So like if you're just out there for fun, stay up as late as you want in parties. Like who cares? But if you're out there and you're trying to win and you're not getting the proper amount of sleep, you're not eating, and you're not putting the most effort you can into yourself, your effort that you put into testing might not mean nearly as much.
I love it. Love it. That's what I was looking for, man. That's the kind of segment that I wanted on getting better, how to handle yourself, man. I say handle yourself like a business, you know? Like if you're set what you want to do and let your actions kind of, you know, be dictated by that goal, right? Like how would the person who's going to win the game or get this job or get an A in this course or whatever the goal is, how is the person that's going to do that preparing, right? And just do that. You know, it might not work the first time, but you're setting the standard and setting the precedent for yourself going further, and you're going to improve from that. You're going to get better. You know? So we had an hour of content here, man. Pretty wild. The time does fly when there's so many. It seems like there's so many viable decks and stuff like that to talk about. So I'm gonna give these guys the floor really quick to shout out their websites, who they're writing for, what they're doing, where you can meet them, anything that they want to. But before that, if you liked what you saw, there's all these social media links down here for Rare Candy. You can go ahead and follow all of those. And alternatively, if you really liked what you saw, you could go ahead and become a patron of ours on Patreon. There's a link in the description below, and for as little as $1 a month, you could be eligible for all these neat perks that we give you, including deck help. So, wow, consider it. We'll go ahead and start with Alec. Alec, go ahead and shout out whoever you want, plug whatever you want. The floor is yours, my guy.
All right, so I'm going to start out with shout-outs. Shout out to Nerd Rage Gaming. They're my sponsor out of Chicago, Illinois. We are currently, I think, ranked number 3 on Limitless, hopefully to pull up to number 1. We did a roster change, and it's been a blast welcoming all the new guys. I'm just so happy with how the team shaped up and how the store has really, like, approached me and, like, given me as much as they have and all the support they have. I want to say shout out to Flipside Gaming. I write on there for free articles. You guys can go read that as much as you want. I post every week about, I was sick last week, so this week was a little bit delayed, but I'm definitely going to keep writing weekly. I am going to be writing for a new site. Well, not a new site, but I'm going to be added on as a new writer to a new site this coming week. So check out my article. I think it's going to be dropping Thursday or Friday. All the support would be great. And shout out to like all my testing groups, like Luke, Arlo, Isaac. Like, you guys know who you are. I don't even name you guys because you guys all just mean so much to me. Pokestats game, like literally anybody I talk to, you guys just mean the world. And like you guys are the reason why I am in this game. Really, I don't do it for the game. I do it for the people. So if you guys want to say hi, please do not hesitate. Come say hi to me at Daytona. Say hi to me wherever you see me. Like, I don't care. Like, if you like my work, please like and comment on my posts. Do whatever you have to do. Seriously, I am the most friendly person you'll ever meet. Just come say hi. Don't hesitate.
Attaboy. You've grown a lot in the time that I've known you, man. You're doing a great job, both with writing and playing. It's been great for me to watch you do that. So keep it up. Keep yourself humble, and you'll be good to go, man. You're doing really good. So I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Carl, again, for bringing me on. Appreciate
you got it, man. You got it. Charlie, we'll go to you.
So huge thanks to Carl for letting me hop on the show, even though my opinions might not be as
They're
informed
valid,
as you
bro.
are.
They're valid.
I'm very much so excited to return to the game this weekend. I've been really missing it. I've been crushed with work, applying to college and stuff. Being a senior is harder than I thought originally. And no matter if I know you or don't, please come say hi to me. I'm really just interested in getting back into the game after being 3 months out and getting to see everybody who plays this awesome game. Shout out to Poke Beach. I write for them. I will write more for them. I wrote for them once so far, but I've been mobbed with work. Once I get into college, hopefully, then I'll be able to start writing more articles. And then, of course, big shout out to my testing group and especially Brett Burns. He's great.
Brett Burns. Shout out to Brett Burns.
Charlie, I thank you for reaching out to me, man, volunteering your time as always. I know that you think that because you haven't played, you might have some opinions that are not the most popular, but you're a world-class player, and I think that people who are in that kind of skill range just kind of could see what's going on and kind of identify what's going on, and you always bring something new, and even your part of your process. The fact you could bring that to the table was really insightful. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you. Adler, we'll finish it off with you, man.
Yeah, just shout out to all the Ohio gang. I just have a whole lot of lifelong friends all across Ohio. Test with them, I hang out with them, we travel to all the regionals together. They're incredible. And just I've just been making a lot of friends lately in Pokemon, even more so. And so just shout out to anyone who's I don't know, ever helped me in Pokemon. Just know I appreciate you.
Yeah, Adler, it's been cool to get to know you too, man. You were really friendly when I met you, and I called you Zoroark guy. Thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yeah, you grew into a homie, dude, and I'm really glad to have you on because I know you don't do these things often.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for having me.
No, dude, this is great, man. I love featuring those players that I know that are really good and have really insightful stuff on these kind of videos because, it's rare and it's different. And I really hope you had a fun time because I really loved having you, man. So... For Alec, Charlie, Adler, I'm Carl here at Rare Candy. Guys, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and follow us on any of those things. Consider our Patreon. Good luck this weekend. And eat up on Thursday. And get your sleep, because we now know how important that is. So for the guys, I'm Carl. Thank you for watching. Peace.